Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardstown, Massachusetts with a 1938 Plymouth Road King, okay? Now, you don't want to confuse this with the 68 or 67 Mustang King of the Road GT 500 or 68. This is the opposite of that. The Road King was basically Plymouth's cheapest model for 1938. Now, 38 was Plymouth's 10th anniversary, first seen in 1928, but sales were down almost 50%. And it wasn't because of this sexy potato styling. Rather, the entire auto industry was suffering from the recession of 1938. So again, sales were down. But again, these were fairly popular cars. Now, this one here is notable for a bunch of reasons. First up, 1938 was the final year for exposed headlight pods. In 1939, they integrated into the fender. So we see that there for the final time. And underneath the front of this thing, there are leaf springs and a beam axle, also seen for the final time in 1938. 1939, senior Plymouths would have optional independent front suspension, but in 38, they were all going to be beams up front. Now, under the hood of this thing, here is the 201 cubic inch flathead 6. And here is the oil bath air cleaner right here. It's an oil bath, I think, but there, oh, actually, no, it's a dry filter. Look at this, not an oil bath. So this is the filter element right here with copper, not paper, as the medium to capture the particulates. And look at the little, the shaped bell mouth right there. Even in 1938, Plymouth stylists, or engineers, I should say, knew that a bell mouth like that was far better than an abrupt 90-degree at smoothing the intake flow for improved breathing. Now, this is the 201 cubic inch flathead 6. This engine family would live on through 1959 with upgrades, but would eventually max out at 230 cubes, seen in full-sized Plymouths and Dodges. But again, this one is a two-door. They made these in four doors as well. There were even roadsters, open four doors, a lot of different body styles, but this was a pretty popular one. And again, we have the alligator hood hinges here for easy service. And here's the little one-barrel carburetor. There's actually an export model that had a 170 cubic inch engine. And believe it or not, this one being a Road King, which was the cheapest model, the business coupe, if you will, this could well be the 170 with even the 1-inch one-barrel carburetor for even less power, but more fuel economy. And another thing about the Road King is that they did not have the glass quarter window. These were cheap cars. And they were meant to be inexpensive, and a lot of salesmen would buy these things. So let's take a look inside. And inside we see a lot of interesting stuff. 3-speed manual on the floor. Final year, 1938, 1939 would go up to the column, steering column, and safety glass right here. You know, a lot of folks think that these old cars didn't have it. Well, here it is. You can see the plastic sandwich between the two laminates right there. This is safety glass, which was standard fare. The downside, here's the plastic right here. It's inside, it's all crystallized, but again, these were safer than old school plate glass, because if you hit that at speed, it would crush and crumble rather than becoming a jagged mess and slice you up. But again, this one is a two-door sedan, and this one here is the base car. $685 would have bought this car new. For another $56, there was the trunk back, which would be the same body, but with an extra bump here for more cargo capacity. But this one's what we call the flat back. Around the tail, we can see the remnants of the wooden cargo floor. And of course, leaf springs and a live rear axle in these. And you gotta love this little 63 Stingray touch right here. But again, that was factory stuff, kind of a graceful look. I'm not sure if that was a styling thing or just being cheap with the glass, not sure. Now this one, of course, the rear fender on this side is gone, but we can see here the leaf springs, which were a Chrysler thing all the way into the 1980s. Rear leaf spring suspension on all the Mopars, pretty much every single one had leafs at the back. No coils in Mopar land, which is fine with me. They work just fine. Now something kind of weird in this one here is what looks to be a radio delete plate. I'm going to go around the other side, Shane. I'll meet you. And you can see in the center of the dash, that aluminum thing with the ashtray. And this is a radio delete plate, right? Well, this car was bought without a radio, and here are the gauges. Check this out, speedometer and fuel, etc. Heat right here. Not exactly in front of the driver. Kind of weird how it's equally seen left to right. But anyway, this little thing right here by the bottom of the steering wheel, that is a Motorolla radio receiver head. This is 1929 up, and these would be the tuning rods right here, which would then go down to this thing here. That is the radio. This is an aftermarket radio. That's the speaker right here, and this is a Motorola piece. There's tubes inside of that, and those rods come all the way down here and tune the inner guts of this. That's the speaker, that's the radio, and this is high-tech stuff in 1938. The antenna on this would not be a mast like we know today, but rather either like a chicken wire type of an affair under the running board or wires underneath the frame. So that would be the antenna. But again, interesting stuff. I mean, so rare to see a Motorola aftermarket add-on radio in a car. These things just, I never see them in the junkyard. At first I thought that was a certified speedometer, maybe it's a cop car, but that's radio stuff right there. And again, the 3-speed manual, manual steering, of course, no power steering in 1938, no V8s in Plymouth land until 55. But again, this is really the bones of what Plymouth and Dodge in many ways was all about. This is interesting here. This is kind of a classroom. And one thing about the potato body style is the ease of repair. This fender here is missing, but if you get into a wreck and this gets bent or dented, it's a simple matter to unbolt it and replace it with a new one. You get into 1953 or so, and then Plymouth went to integral rear fenders or quarter panels or welded to the body. So if you got a fender crease at the back, you had to slice that off, cut it up, whole different thing, very expensive to repair that. Whereas the bolt-on fenders on these potato era cars were easily repaired and replaced as needed. So this is, again, 1938, Plymouth's 10th anniversary. Who knew that 30 years later, the Plymouth Roadrunner, which would also be a very austere, cheap car with a big old engine, would be this vehicle's kind of descendant. And again, this one here being a Road King, not to be confused with the King of the Road, GT 500 Mustang 68. This is the opposite of fun. This is basically just utilitarian driving, but with the added bonus of an add-on Motorola radio. And getting back to radios, you know, we talk about tuners, and this is a Honda Civic Radio Delete plate. And this is something that would have been ordered on a basic Honda Civic right here. We can see it would have plugged in and snapped into place in the radio hole in the dash. So this actually came out of a tuner without a tuner, if you get the point. Kind of a joke, not really. But if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel, ring the bell, hit the like button, etc., etc., and subscribe, and we'll be back tomorrow with more Junkyard Crawl.